Oh yeah, welcome to How Can She Snap? This is a Marvel Snap podcast dedicated to the filthy casual. I'm the kid, one half of the Super Snapper Rose, here with my brother from the same mother, Mr.
NoBigDeal.
Oh yeah, he's here, and we got a special guest this episode, a man that needs no introduction, but I'll give him one anyway. He is your late night Snap DJ, the host with the most, the Herald of Galactus himself, Mr. Joe from Snap Decisions, one of the best podcasts out there. Please give us some love for Joe. Joe, tell people where they can find you, man. Thanks for coming.
You are very well. It's amazing to be back. I love being here with you guys. I actually had some people in my alliance today. They're like, "Oh, we can't wait to see that you're going to be on with the kid." And I'm like, "Yeah, hey." So there it is, man. I love it. I love being here. Thanks so much for having me. It's always a great time with you guys, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being here. And those traitors in your alliance, we'll maybe one day we'll see them in the battlefield.
Yeah, it might be. It might be.
Hopefully we can do that one day. But we'll talk more about alliances. I mean, we have a pretty big episode here. Lots happened in the last week. There's been a ton of crap going on. There's a big patch that was released. We're going to talk about that and some of the changes. The OTA balance patch that just happened. A lot of changes. Pretty fucking wild one there. Yeah. And then, we're going to talk about alliances and, everything that we've learned so far and, what we've been doing, what we've been having fun with, that kind of stuff, what we want to see in the future, that kind of stuff. And then that'll probably be like 4 hours of this episode. So let's get it. The kid. All right. Hey, Joe, how the heck are you, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I am. The other day when I did my podcast, I was like, man, and all I could say was, this is an amazing time to be a player of this game. It really is. Like, there's so much going on now. Like you were saying with the alliances, leagues coming up now, new cards coming up soon. Just everything that's been happening. It's been a blast. It really has. And I'm doing great, man. I'm enjoying the game. Back to kind of not being able to play as much as I was before, but still, I'm really loving it. I'm loving if I want to chill, I'm doing the missions in the alliance and stuff like that. Yeah, man, it's a blast. It's a lot of fun, except for Bounce coming back. That I'm not too thrilled with, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll get into the meta later on after we talk about the changes. But yeah, man, you're right. These alliances, which again we'll talk about more in depth later, but they've really ruined what little competitive integrity I had for this game because I don't even give a shit about cubes. I keep doing those stupid bounties, even though the reward's like 100 credits. Like I don't care. It's just fun to do them. And I'm just doing them in Deadpool's Diner. Like I've completely forgotten about Conquest. I've completely forgotten about Ladder. I don't even care. I'm just donating bubs and getting bounties for the boys in the alliance, and it's been a good time. I don't know. No big deal. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean it's like a different experience playing Snap, right? I mean, last week we were just grinding bubs and Deadpool's Diner, and then now we got alliances. And I mean, one of my missions I had was it was like a legendary one or whatever for 600, and it was like win 16 games with Zero and Typhoid Mary in your deck. I'm like, well, I haven't played Sure Your Red Skull in over a year probably, but I mean, let's do it. Let's run it. Let's play some. It's Sauron just got a buff, it's decent. Like it's not bad. I just never would have done that if it wasn't for the alliance. I love checking the chat. I love logging in, checking the chat. Feels like every other online game I've played. Where I log in and first thing you do is check your friends list, check the chat, and it's nice that we have at least some semblance of that now. In client, it makes such a big difference in client as opposed to having to scroll through a Discord or something like that.
Yeah. And I will say, I'll just say this at the beginning of the episode before we get into the changes, is that, we are the Filthy Casual Alliance. Tag is FCA. And then it's just Filthy Casual. So you can search, if any of the listeners of the show, we still have spots. I've kept it invite only so we can get people in that want to be in that, I don't know if they've had a chance to get in yet or not. But before I open it up to the masses, get everyone in that listens to the show. And that's it. That's
Filthy
my
Casuals, plural with S.
Filthy Casuals, and it will show it on the screen later on. But yeah. It's been fun. Let's get into the balance patch because I want to go over all these changes right away before we start talking. We're going to inevitably talk about it anyway. But so the balance patch from I think it was July 30th,
yep,
something like that. I don't know. It was the patch. Alliances have arrived. So we talked about alliances. They changed that. Deadpool League. I don't know if they don't have the league yet, but is the league out? I haven't seen the league.
No, they just put it on the developer video is just out.
Oh, here it is.
They released it. Yeah, it's I think it's like there you go, 8 to 12th. Yeah.
Oh,
August 8th to 10th.
They tested in Europe, I guess.
Yeah,
that's probably that.
Yeah. So they're gonna leagues August 8th. So I guess in a week or so. So great. Their standard league, no cost entry, no premium league for this iteration of Deadpool's league. Great. Just play normal games, get league points. Nice. Just free stuff for just playing the game. Cool. Not pay to win this time. Great. There's no premium pay to win league.
Right?
This was a pretty nice change. I guess, overall nice. The free credits in the shop increased to 75 per day. So it's 25 every 8 hours with the shop increment instead of 50 once a day.
Oh, sick. I didn't even notice that. Yeah. Nice.
Yes. Whenever the shop resets, it's on an 8-hour timer. You can get 25 credits. So
yeah, I really like that. I find this little free credit thing makes a pretty big difference, honestly. I do feel it. I feel like I'm unlocking stuff and gathering resources because of it. It seems like such a small amount, but 50 a day adds up pretty quickly, and I mean 75 a day that's 50% more. So yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah. They clearly want people logging into the game more, 3 times a day to get the 75 credits, instead of just once a day to get the 50. So even if you miss one of them, at least you're even with what you had last time, right? 50 a day. So.
Oh wait, isn't it? Doesn't it say it accumulates to 75? Oh, you have to click it every 25.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, never mind. I hate this. All right.
I
I thought it was once a day 75.
No.
Oh, this is.
It's with every shop refresh. 25, 25, 25.
You know what's
They got to
cool?
get people logging into the game.
I keep going back, or whatever the opposite of the
One
Scarface
step up
is. I
and
mean,
two
this
steps
is
back,
a horseshit change. This
You
is
know-
mobile game, just greasy monetization. This is fucking slimy, and I really don't like this.
I love it.
You know what?
I'm not
though?
logging in every 8 hours. I'm not gonna do it. So I guess as I just said, it's 50% increase. It's the lie for me. It's gonna be 50% decrease because I like logging in once a day at most.
The one thing that Lauren was saying about it, which I hope they do, and it would make it kind of worth it, is if they changed up the cards. Because so many people are looking maybe for certain variants and stuff like that, especially for the albums and everything, and you don't see them because they don't rotate enough. They only do twice a day and stuff like that. So maybe, and they haven't yet, but maybe if they're doing something like this, maybe they will, where the variants will also change every single time they do it, and then at least it would make it kind of worthwhile to just check in. If you're not, if you're not playing a lot and you don't want to, but at least for the variants, a little more attractive. Maybe people making them check in a little bit would be a good thing. But I don't know if they're going to do that or not because so far they haven't. It's still the same thing twice a day. So.
Oh, you're muted, kid.
Sorry, I muted myself. Yeah, I got a little excited when Lauren said that when I was listening to your show. It was a pretty cool idea. I'm like, man, if they do this, that'd be pretty awesome. If the variants actually, rotated every 8 hours, because like you said, there's so many variants in the game. Sometimes you just want one. Hey, I want that one Deadpool variant. It's been 7 months and I haven't seen it. It's I don't deserve it. So it's come on, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome. But yeah, I don't know. No big deal. Just log in once in the morning, once at night, and
I'm not doing that. and I like that you guys are putting a positive spin on it. That's why it's nice to have a pod with 2-3 people at a time. We all got different ways we like to play and experience the game. To me, the variants, I don't care about them, and I feel like I just got rug pulled. I thought it was 75 credits. I was all excited, and then I just just in the moment I just got rug pulled, and it's actually 25, which is just just 3 times shittier than what I thought it was going to be. So it's they're going to get a little more money out of me, which I'm not happy about. I feel like I just got rug pulled.
They'll get less out of me because I've been getting 75 per day, baby.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, it's good for some people. Yeah, not good for others.
Then some audio effects and stuff. Moon Knight updated.
Oh,
so that was pretty cool.
So these are sick. Have you guys seen this?
Yeah, the Moon Knight looks really cool. It's awesome.
Have you played with it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So not only do they give him the scimitar or whatever,
Yep.
his throw animation where he throws his weapon, but also he flies around like Darkhawk.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
if
he's
you
got
see
wings.
Darkhawk with the wings, Moon Knight has that too. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Sound effects,
Very cool.
perfect Moon Knight change. That was amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, let's get into the balance updates. All right, and not too much on these, but on this patch. But the patches aren't really for balances. They've said that multiple times, but there were some significant ones here. Number one, Uatu.
Finally,
Man, finally, it's fucking Uatu.
Oh,
And
definitely.
hopefully this doesn't ruin the new player experience, making him actually, maybe a playable card. So before he was 1-2 at the start of a game, shows the right location. He's still a 1-2, and now he shows all the unrevealed locations. Man, pretty good change. Like I kind of like it. I don't know if he's gonna even be relevant, but I think in some lists he might be okay in like some lists that aren't like top tier lists. Personally, I think that even like in an RSM deck, because like he could just be shuffled at the bottom anyway, and you get the information. It's not a huge deal. But yeah, I don't know. I like this change. I don't know why it took them so long to do this. It's like it was a no brainer. But yeah, I don't know. Joe, what do you think?
I stuck him right in my Galactus ramp deck, and I'm going to tell you something. He won me games. There were times when I could see those lanes. If I had my Nebula in my hands, you stick that into an inaccessible lane. So one lane where they can't play, still mostly people will play that left lane almost all the time. And I was talking about that before. It's weird how everybody does that, but they don't want to get stuck in somewhere where they can't, do anything else. If they put their card down there, they can't do what they want with it. So it won me a lot of games. That Nebula in that locked out lane. If Sanctum was there, I saw it. I put Nebula down, and there you go. You're off and running. They can't play in the lane. She just scales, and you're practically are going to you'll win a lane almost in that unless they have Jeff or Nocturne or something like that. But he won me some games. I was actually pleasantly surprised, and I'll be honest, it's just a fun card to play. It really is. It's neat to see the locations. It's just a fun card to play. They want to make this more competitive. Make it stat line a little better. Make him a 1-3 or a 1-4, and then he becomes a pretty good card. But a 1-2 is kind of a shit stat line. Like you're not going to do anything with that at the end of the game. But he's fun to play, and like I said, it does win you some games. So I don't know. Probably needs a better deck than that to support it, but. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was cool.
Yeah, I agree with Joe's opinion 100% there. I mean, I like the Galactus call out. That's actually really interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
A card where you really do want to see the locations ahead of time. You can kind of plan out, where you're going to play your goblins, where you're going to play your Galactus, everything. So that's a pretty cool application of the card. I mean, when they first touched this card. It's the first thing I said. Why the hell don't they let them show all the locations? What do they think is going to happen if they let them show all the locations? Like, it's a freaking Uatu, man. Like, this is an absolute brick. He does nothing for your lane. He actually hurts your lane. It's basically a clog card. You're clogging yourself playing a 1-2. It's a total liability. Also, it's a 1. So if you play it on like Mojo World or something, like not only are you wasting a space that's not going to do anything, but they have some Killmonger or something at the end, you auto lose that lane because it's Mojo World. All kinds of locations like that, like Muir Island, the +3 one, the native layer +5 to everything. Like, it's just absolutely devastating to get picked off as a 1-drop, which you're liable to do because it's a 1-drop. So yeah, I mean, this should have been the original design of the card when they first, like, not even like changed the card, but when they first made this card, it should have said this. And then we should have already had it buffed to a 1-3 by now. So I agree with that as well, Joe. I think it should be minimum 1-3, and I think it'd be borderline competitive at a 1-3. But I'm happy he's got his effect. This is a really cool effect.
It is.
And I love that this effect's in the game. Like, this is a really cool, creative effect. And, hey, man, it's a start. And I'd like to see him go to a 1-3 sometime soon.
Yeah. So a non-competitive application that I've been using Uatu with all the time is I made specific decks for the specific bounties for the thing, just so I can just get them done quick.
Nice.
And so my fill all the locations, which fucked me a lot. I have Uatu in that deck with like Ultron, Debris, all those cards. Just so I know, like, because I got fucked early on with like locations that I couldn't play into. And I'm like, shit, if I don't draw Ultron, I'm screwed, So he helped, and I could, so he helped me fill locations, get my little bounty rewards for the Alliance, So for that, Uatu, I thank you.
You got crazy amount of bounties, dude, doing that. I mean, you're like over 5K. It's ridiculous.
That bounty's
Yeah.
tough too.
And I'm just fucking around.
I played Zoo into that, so I was just playing my Zoo deck into that. It made it easier because the cool thing about bounties, it reminds you. I think you mentioned it before. It reminds me a lot of guilds in World of Warcraft, and a lot of the times you just had to do, and you don't even have to win the games to complete the missions. So you can go in, fill every single lane in there, and still lose, and it doesn't matter. You're still fulfilling the mission. So. Yeah, it's and Uatu was. I had him in there too. He's actually pretty good in there as well. And Zoo is actually competitive against most decks. Now, Junk's going to be a problem, but in most decks, it's not bad. So, but yeah, it's those missions are, some of them are tough, but it's fun to do. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, the fill one, it just takes a long time. Then the destroy ones, like you can knock them out in like 3 games and you're done. The fill the location ones, people will leave before the game ends.
Yeah.
The space throne screws you. There's a lot of stuff that screws you. If there's Killmonger, it might screw you.
Yep.
So, I had one person. I was fucking pissed off. But at least it was Limbo, so I got it ready. But like, I was clearly losing and I was messing around in Deadpool's diner. Like, the guy was winning. On turn 6, and this is a Limbo game, thank God. On turn 6, the guy rogues my Kyera.
Oh.
And then plays Killmonger right after. I was like, you piece of shit. I'm like, you were winning. Like, my locations were full. There was no way for you to lose.
Oh my God.
Like, just let me have it. I think I had Ultron, but like, and I still got them all full, but I was like, son of a bitch, bastard. Who does that, man?
Right?
That's hilarious.
That was fucking bullshit. I was like, I was pissed off. But anyways, I digress.
And
Uatu.
one more thing on Uatu. I mean, just random thing. Maybe in the early days of Marvel Snap, like maybe this could be an okay card. But I mean, one drop, like I think they realized later on that one drop like is kind of shit and like they need to be stronger. And so we've had a lot of power creep in the one drop lately. Like you're talking about the bounce stuff, Joe. Like a lot of people are playing Rocket Raccoon and bounce right now. That's a 1/5. Titania's a 1/5. Hydra Bob's a 1/5. So like Ant-Man's a 1/5 as well. And so I mean these cards, and they're not necessarily even good cards. I mean I'm just naming 1/5s, So like this guy's a 1/2. I mean that's less than half. So that's like a massive power difference. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough to make him work, but like really sick effect.
Yeah, it's cool. Shadow King, pretty nice buff here with Shadow King. So they didn't change his text, they just changed the settings, and it's no longer considered raising or lowering power. So basically, Luke Cage can't bring back Shadow King's thing. Shadow King just gets rid of all of the kind of buff modifiers on the cards, basically. So Luke Cage can't bring it back. So nerf to Luke Cage, buff to Shadow King. You can no longer play Luke Cage to reverse Shadow King's effect. Shadow King just nullifies all the buffs on there and all the minuses and all the buffs, and that's it. So I don't know, pretty cool change in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I watched. I was watching like when KM Best dropped his reactions to the patch notes, and he has like a 20-minute video. Like half the video is talking about Shadow King. I don't like. Maybe I'm just small brain. Like I'm not very good at the game. I don't like think this is that big of a change personally. I think there was like niche deck scenarios. Maybe I could easily be missing something, and I get fucked up on the game mechanics all the time. So I could just be wrong about this. But there was a very small amount of decks that were running the Luke Cage and Shadow King. So that way you don't Shadow King your own stuff and reduce it. Like that was a niche thing. Like I think they had that Noki deck for like 2 weeks, and like nobody's really been playing that stuff anymore. I think my interpretation of this change is like 9 out of 10 times you play the card Shadow King, it's going to be the exact same as a week ago, but when you play Shadow King, literally 90% of the time, nothing's changed. And then it'll be like 1 out of 10 times where, oh shit, the Luke Cage would have saved me there, and now it doesn't. That's how I'm interpreting it. I think it's a slight buff on Shadow King, a slight nerf on Luke Cage, but ultimately not too much of a change and more of a functional change for like future card design type of shit. That's how I'm looking. I don't think this change the big deal. But I mean, Cam Bass is a way better player than I am. He was freaking out about this, so I could be wrong about that.
What do you think, Joe?
He's very good now against the lists so the Thana Angela Kitty list, which is huge. He's like No Big Deal said, it's not drastic. Luke Cage isn't really around much. The only decks I still see really play him are the ones that are playing the hazmat stuff and negative stuff, and even then, when they're playing the newer versions and they're playing Ajax, he's not in that deck because you want everything to get hit by hazmat. You don't want him in there. So I think he's a pretty good tech card now. I listened to the same video you did though with KM. It's funny because like every take I had on the changes from yesterday's, he said the opposite. So, and then I think the same way. I think the same way you do. I'm like, damn, I must be missing something because like he's way better at this game than I am, so I must suck. But like, but I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't play him much. He's in my zoo deck, but he's only in there just because of scalers and stuff like that. Yes, he is going to get rid of Cassandra Nova. So that's a big thing because everybody is playing that now. She's in every deck, no matter what deck it is almost now. Not just the Darkhawk, but everything else. I've seen so many other decks, Surfer and any other deck that you can put her in. So it's going to help against stuff like that. Obviously, he's an anti-destroy card for sure. He'll wipe out the big Venoms and all that kind of stuff that they have. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like to me, it's okay, I guess. And they go on to explain this whole wording thing, I think, later on when they talk about they reworded other cards and stuff too. So this is, I think, just more like a quality of life kind of change. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know that this is going to matter much. I think people play Shadow King will still play it. People who didn't probably won't due to this. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's only going to matter, I think, in the context of if Luke Cage becomes meta again. Because if Luke Cage, there are times when he becomes meta, and then people throw Luke Cage in their decks, and then the Shadow King, kind of gets screwed in that case.
Yeah.
That won't happen anymore.
Right.
Now he's like a permanent answer to like archetypes that are probably going to be coming up now, like Bounce, like you said, like Rocket Raccoon, Angela, Athena. He gets rid of all those things, Cassandra Nova, Blob, these cards that he's already got rid of all those, right? They just can't be reverted back now with Luke Cage. That's the only difference. Yep. And yeah, you're right. It's not a huge change. It's really not because it's rare now. But there have been times in the past where Luke Cage has been a big meta presence, and this was happening a lot where Shadow King was getting screwed because of that. So, it just won't happen anymore.
If they move Luke Cage back to a 2, then I get So I guess they just want the freedom to be able to buff Luke Cage if they want.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it as like right now. I mean, if you want to throw Luke Cage in your Athena or your Bounce deck, like good luck. Like that's an absolute brick. It's going to do absolutely nothing for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's a 2/2 Luke Cage like it used to be, then holy shit. I mean, you just throw a 2 cost for to counter the only thing that counters you basically. So I guess that makes sense. So it's that's what I'm saying for future card design. That's kind of what
this one was a pretty big one. This was a pretty fucking cool change, actually. I love this change. Moon Knight 3/3 used to be discard a card from each player's hand. Now it's still a 3/3 on reveal. Discard a card with an even cost from each player's hand. What a cool change to make a card that was, it was fucking garbage. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, it was unplayable fucking trash before. Cool design, but it was unplayable. Like too fucking random. There's no more Casino Holidays anymore. Now you have discards all the cards you wanted to, except for Dracula.
Yep.
It's like Swarm, Proxima Midnight, Apocalypse. Doesn't discard Dakin, MODOK, Stature, anything like that. Black Bolt, if you have it, it won't discard those cards. It's going to make this card way more consistent, and I think this can make this card, along with some other changes we're going to talk about later, even meta again. What do you guys think? I'm excited about this.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go. I've obviously been playing this a lot. Like I've probably played like 35-ish games on this discard stuff now at this point. Just trying to prepare for my Snap Judge League, round 4 match. and we got the dub. And Moon Knight clutched it actually pretty hard. The guy was saying in the chat after, he's like, "Oh, that goddamn Moon Knight was terrifying me." One time, Moon Knight hit his Mockingbird, and like and this was in high stakes round, and I snapped right when I saw that, because the Mockingbird, it was like a Mysterio kind of Mockingbird thing, and it was kind of core to his strategy. So, he didn't have enough power without the Mockingbird to beat me. So yeah, that was an insta snap and easy 2 cubes, and it's kind of cool. Like Moon Knight just was not able to do that before. Like you have targeted discard, like the kid said. I mean, at least in the kind of standard MODOK discard list, I mean, it's Proxima, APOC, and Swarm, all even cards, and then Dracula is your only bad hit. So that's really it. And you could just, if you have like a 50-50 on Dracula, just don't play the Moon Knight. It's like not a big deal, You could just play Dracula on 4, Moon Knight, Colleen, or Moon Knight Blade, something like that on 5, and like you're off to the races. You don't even need MODOK at that point. So I love the disruption. I mean, it's great to have the disruption in discard. Really, really cool change, and really unique, and just kind of makes for some interesting deck building. And I think it worked with Black Bolt Stature too, like really well. And I've seen these Cerebro builds like look pretty sick, actually. I watched Dexter stream or watch the Snapster. Like he's crushing in top 100 with the Cerebro 3 Moon Knight deck. And discard Cerebro's kind of been around for a little bit, because Blade's also a 3, Moon Knight's a 3. So like you do kind of have some utility there already. And
Swarm.
Swarm, multiple swarms. You could swarm the board, and you couldn't really do that before with Cerebro. So pretty sick stuff. You don't have to like rely on Wasp Valk before. So I love this change, and I think that like you said, kid, this card got a couple buffs between this patch and the OTAs. So I do think we're back. I think at the very least it's a good deck right now.
Yeah.
What do you think, Joe?
I agree. I like the change. I had to play with it. I just put it in a simple discard deck to start out with, and of course, Apocalypse hadn't been changed before that. But yeah, look, I mean, even the cards that he helps get rid of on the other side are big too. I ditched 2 of their big. I got a Red Hulk the one game, and the other player's playing Hela, and I got the Hela. So it was like it's game over for them, and it's like it's. So I like it. They finally got him right, and a card that has so many cool variants. Probably some of the most cool variants in the game. And of course, if you like the character, just run. I loved him since '90s comic books. I was reading Moon Knight, and then of course the series and stuff like that. So I like this character. I hope we see him again soon. He's supposed to be with the Marvel Knights. I think they're doing a series now where he's going to come back. So I'm excited. But yeah, the card's great. I think it's awesome. And to your guys' point, now with the Apocalypse change, which we're going to get to in a little bit, discard. Yeah, I would agree with No Big Deal. I think discard is back. I do. Whichever way you choose to play it, whether you want to do the Black Bolt Stature combo, or you just want to go simple discard, or whether you're going to run Proxima or Corvus, or however you want to do it. I think it is going to be competitive. So, I like it. I enjoyed. I was never a big discard player, but the last time before Apocalypse got nerfed, I was playing it a good amount, and I liked it. I had fun playing it. And so, I'm looking forward to playing it more. But yeah, this is a good change. Kudos to them. They finally got it right, and I think that it's going to stick around for a while.
Yeah, and also
go ahead, kid. Go ahead.
I was gonna say one more thing is like discard Surfer as well is a thing.
Yeah.
Pretty decent deck. And this card would fit beautifully in that deck. It's not going to discard your Surfer, and if you put Proxima in there, it'll hit that, and Swarm as well.
Yeah, Swarm. Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Like you have like Gambit, Blade, and those kind of cards, and they really did good. This is a really cool, unique design now, and I think they did a really good job with this. I like it.
Agreed.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think Joe made an excellent point there that I forgot to mention, but that's really important to mention, is that he only hits even cards, and he takes your opponent's stuff. So that means he's probably more than twice as likely, because you're going like turn 1 and 3, which are odd turns, kind of past already. People are going to play their ones, early on, which are odd numbers. So I would say more than twice as likely to hit their big 6-drop that they're trying to finish the game with. This thing is like a magnet for 6 drops. And that's like really crazy, because it's not just like Hela. Like it's like almost all of them are like huge finishers. Like Blob is a 6-drop. I mean, he got nerfed, but like one that I hit that was just a beauty was Arnim Zola. Like you hit their Zola, they're setting up a Panther.
Yep.
And, you hit their Zola, their Odin. If you're playing a Tribunal deck, it's like Onslaught and Living Tribunal.
Yep.
Like, you hit either of them, you're feeling pretty good, right? Like Mockingbird, 6-drop, Red Hulk, 6-drop. Like these cards that they're waiting to play at the end. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Even like, well, maybe sometimes you don't want to hit the Infinite, but Doctor Doom, Magneto are also like phenomenal hits. Even Death can be a great hit. Maybe that's at 8, which is also even. So, like being able to target their kind of finishing card is pretty nice. Has like Spider Ham type of effect, even maybe slightly more reliable too. So, I love that it hits 6 drops like a lot of the time. It's really nice, especially if you wait to play it.
I had it hit Shang a couple times too.
Yeah, that's
another
finisher.
great one.
Yeah, late game even finisher. Yeah, good call.
Yeah. And then there are some times where it won't hit anything if they don't have any even cost cards in their hand. But like, I think just the disruption in their hand is a bonus because him hitting one of your evens is what you really want him to be doing, right? Yeah. So like, you're happy if he hits your APOC, the Proxima, the Swarm. You're like ecstatic about that, and just the disruption is a bonus. So sometimes it does whiff. That's something to be said, but I don't think you're that mad when it whiffs.
Gives you some info too. I mean, if you are scared of Eliath or something, and then you play Moon Knight and they don't discard anything, it's like, okay, I don't have to play around Eliath then, which is kind of nice. True. Unless they top deck it, but I'll take my chances. Yeah,
that's true actually. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's talk about the next card they changed, Blink. Change I don't really understand why they did, but they did it nonetheless. So before it was swap the last card you played with a higher cost card from your deck, and now it's swap the last card you played with a card that costs more from your deck. So I understand the change they made. I don't know why they did it. This is just like it'll just swap it with the card's actual cost in the deck, not what the card costs without any changes. Like, so I think this only really now applies to Mr. Negative and Pixie, the two that I can think of off the top of my head. Whereas like if Negative, affects all the cards in your deck, they swap. Like an Iron Man used to be a 5, now it's a 0 cost. So now Blink won't bring up the Iron Man. It'll count it as a 0 cost instead of a 5. Whereas before it would have brought up the 0-5 Iron Man thinking it's a 5 cost. So I don't know how many Blink Negative decks there were out there, but I don't know. This is I guess. Go ahead, Joe.
This is a quality of life change. That's all it was.
Yeah.
No, that's probably, okay. Yeah. This is a quality of life change. Like if you go further down, there's like a big paragraph of other cards that are getting this change too. I think it's just wording changes really, and I don't even know if you're going to even notice this. Like it came up so few, and I think they talked about it a little bit later. But yeah, this is just a change of like word stuff, which they do sometimes because wording is too confusing on some cards. So, and they compared it with Jane Foster and stuff like that. But this is one of those things that I don't even think you're going to notice. You're probably never going to see any particular moments, like you were saying. Who plays Negative Blink?
Yeah.
Probably not many. So yeah, and then the other card change. There's a bunch down below this too. Like all other ones, I was reading through them and I'm like, well, nothing changed. So yeah, I think this was just one of those things where they did this once before. I'm trying to think of what it was for. I can't really remember, but they changed like wording on the cards a little bit. And then, yeah, I think that's really all this was. Maybe you like to think of this as maybe a future change. Maybe something's coming down the road in one of the newer, the newer sets that's coming out in the next couple of months that might have needed this to be done. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's just quality of life stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. I don't have too much of an opinion on it. I definitely would never play Blink and Mr. Negative. Yeah. It's a 7 power card. If it was like a 1 power card, maybe I would play it in Mr. Negative. But it's a 7 power card. But if Negative hits it, it's 6 drops. It's terrible. So we don't want that. So I guess I just feel bad for anyone who was actually playing it in Pixie because I guess it kind of actually makes sense in a Pixie deck if you think about it, right? You play the Pixie early, your Blink's a high cost card that you'd want to roll out, and then your deck's probably full of a bunch of big boys anyway. So actually would make sense to play Blink and Pixie. I haven't done it personally,
me either.
But and the builds I've seen, I don't think they run her, but it does make sense in theory. So RIP to anyone who's playing Blink and Pixie. I'm not saying it as a joke. Actually, that fucking sucks. Sorry, you caught a little random stray there for weird like what's called like formality or whatever. I can't think of the right word, but you know what I mean. It's unfortunate. It's like a formality or whatever. But yeah, it's what it is.
And then they're changing. They have a text change too. Cost versus cost. So like lowercase c cost versus uppercase c cost. And I think uppercase is like the base cost, like it's a 3-drop, and lowercase is like Mockingbird can be a 3-drop, but it's not. But it's still a 6. But still like a 6 cost card. But it can be 3 cost with lowercase c. Anyways, it's all bullshit. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, it's all.
None of this stuff matters. I don't care.
Just a casual podcast. We don't need to get into all that.
Yeah. Who gives a shit? It's all good. Yeah.
I'm certainly not going to read that. So
no, neither am I. I didn't even fucking read it.
I think the way to handle these changes is just play the game and see what happens.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Live with the results.
Yeah, just go in your Alliance chat and ask somebody. There's got to be some fucking nerds in there who know better than us.
Figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out together. Let's get into this. What was this? Yesterday. This came out yesterday, the balance patch. Oh, man. This is some fucking good OTA. This is a good OTA. This is like, there's a lot of shit that happened. I had some initial thoughts, and then I played a little bit with it, and my thoughts kind of changed a little bit. So I'll go through, when I talk personally, I'll go through like what I initially thought, and then when I started playing that, what my opinions changed. So first one.
Well, hold on, Kit. Before you get into Loki, do you have any macro initial thoughts when you first reacted to it?
Okay, so my first reaction was like, okay, so this was my first thought. I was like, holy fuck. Okay, we'll all say our initial thoughts then before we get into the changes.
Yeah,
I was like, holy fuck, they nuked Loki. That was my first thought. I saw Leech. I was like, good fucking riddance. Thank God. I don't care. I'm happy. That I'm happy about the Leech change. Good. It's a good change. I saw Dr. Octopus. I'm like, at first, I'm like, I think this might be worse. That was my first thought. I'm like, but I don't really know because I was like, Sentry, anyways, that was my first initial thought. Widow's Kiss, I was like, great. Blob, I was like, poor fucking guy, caught a stray from Arsham. War Machine, I was like, great. Apocalypse, I said, great. So like overall, I was pretty happy with all of them. What did you guys think initially? What were your initial thoughts?
I want to say my initial thoughts were like kind of reptile brain, little smooth brain thoughts, was basically like, hey, and Joe, we talked about this on your pod, on your Sunday pod, which was like, there's 2 decks in the meta, that are clearly at the top, and that's Thena and that's Arashim. Yep. And they hit Arashim pretty hard. And I don't see Thena anywhere on this fucking OTA.
I agree. 100%.
So that was my original thought. Like, we're going tier 0. Like it's like I just I mean just absolutely crazy. But then so that was my original thought. But I already think I was pretty wrong about that. But get into that led the later changes.
I kind of looked at all these and said the same thing. I spotlighted a little bit on the show yesterday that I did about the OTA changes, and I came out and said, well, I made fun of it because I'm like, Loki's dead. And then I was talking about, but I said similar things. I was like, well, where's the Thena change? Because I'm sorry, but I know many people love her. She's too strong. It just is. And so when I saw all this, I'm like, okay, these guys all took bullets because of Arasham. They didn't want to change Arasham. I get it. I think it would be an easy change too. Add cards to it. I think I heard Zombies go nom talk about it. Just add 6 cards to the deck. It's going to make it harder for them to get it. The Leech change, I agree with. He's just so many people are just sick of that card. Just finish it off. And then when I looked at the other ones, but I don't know, man. Now I'm seeing like other the other creators are out there playing. Binks was playing Loki on his stream yesterday. Tell you what, not bad. It doesn't look too bad.
That's
like he's getting out cards from their bottoms or their decks at the end of the game that he's playing against them. And you're losing a little bit, but still, like people aren't going to play garbage cards. So you're gonna most of the time get pretty good cards out of their decks. The Leech one, I'm thinking to myself, good God, if people ever start using him, goodbye Galactus. Because he wipes out Galactus decks. Anything that's in there with a 6 is gone. Like he's now an anti-Hela card too. You play him in your deck, Hela's gone. They're not gonna ever get the Hela out if you play him. So I don't think people will. But the people that are insistent. In fact, it's funny. Right after the patch was done, I played a couple of games. First game, Arasham deck. had Loki, had Leech. I'm like, well, they didn't seem to mind. So obviously this doesn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had the same thought. But I do think, and they said it in the notes about Loki, right? Loki was, they mentioned
We'll get into
RSM.
Loki. Yeah.
Yeah, they mentioned RSM right in there. So Loki, but I still do believe that all of these 4 cards, Doc Ock, Leech, Loki, and Blob, they took bullets for RSM. They just didn't want to change RSM, and so they thought, all right, what's the best deck that's out there with RSM? These 4 cards. So I think that they all got hit because of it.
Yeah, they did the nuke Arshem without actually touching the card that is the issue in the metagame.
Yep.
But so Loki was a 4/5, and we all know what Loki did. Now he's a 3/5 on reveal. Replace your deck with your opponent's starting deck. Give those cards -1 cost and draw a card. So at first I thought I was like, fuck, they nuked Loki.
That's-
Like this
yep,
is
same
a huge change. Like they killed Loki. And then I played with Loki a little bit, and I was like, "This is pretty fucking good still." Like, this is a 3/5, which you're not mad about playing. Plus, you're drawing a card, so it's like a 3/5 crystal that they don't get to draw a card, and the card that you draw is a good card because unless you're playing an Arsham deck, unless you're playing an Arsham deck. No, even if you're playing an Arsham deck, because Arsham adds cards, it's with it's your opponent's starting deck. So you're getting a card that's
good into our
good,
match.
and
Yeah,
it costs
good
one
in
less.
our matchup.
And it costs one less.
Yeah.
So like, not that bad of a change. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I really like this change. I mean, I've been clamoring for the Loki nerf, man. So I'm fired up about this. I don't care if it's because of Arsham, this one personally. Blob, I do care, so I'm definitely hypocritical there. Fuck, man, my boy Blob, he's the shit now, but we'll get to that later. But Loki, like, this card from the day it came out, I've been clamoring for them to fix this damn card. It's absolutely ridiculous. They released a 3/5 Sarah, like that pumped collector +9. I mean, that's what they released. 3/5 Sarah that makes your collector like 10 power. Like it was just the most absurd thing I've ever seen. And they never properly fixed it. They did these little ticky tack. Oh, maybe we'll increase. We'll stop. We'll nerf collector. Like let's nerf collector. And then it's like, oh, like just this horseshit changes. Like it's still even this 4/5 version of Loki is so horseshit. Like it's just so much better than every other 4-drop in the game. 4/5 Sarah. Like just think about that. Like think about what the play pattern of the card Sarah, where you have to wait until turn 5, and then you have like 1 turn to dump your hand that only got reduced by 1. You know what I mean? And Loki, you can generate cards, and you could dump a bunch of power on the board, play your Loki. You could play a turn early with Arsham, or if you just play a regular Loki deck, I mean, that's pretty damn good too. I mean, Jesus Christ, that deck's been ridiculous since release. Okay, like guys at the top of the ladder been playing that since release. And so just totally reworking that bullshit aspect of it. Kid, even if it's good now, and I don't want them to kill Loki. I always thought the effect was cool. So this change is really nice because it keeps his flavor, and I do think that people overuse the word fair, but I think it's a lot more fair now. You are weird worlding your deck, kind of. I mean, it's your opponent's, so it's not really weird world. It's not random, right? But it is your opponent's deck, so you're changing your whole deck. So you can't top deck a Mockingbird. You can't top deck your Shang-Chi. And, all these things that the Loki players were kind of counting on doing, right? And so you have to just deal with what you get. It's a 3/5 that has a Fastos effect and Crystal all built into one. So, like, that sounds pretty good to me. Like, 3/5, the better part of Fastos that reduces the cost of the cards. You kind of prefer that over the +2 unless you're playing a buff deck. And Crystal just for yourself. So, I mean, pretty sick stuff. I like the change, and it still feels like Loki because you have to play with your opponent's deck.
Yeah. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I didn't really think of it much at first when I went through it. I was like, all right, but it's, when I watched Binks play it in his stream yesterday, I was like, yeah, okay, it does seem pretty good. You're getting it out quicker. You are getting stuff from their deck, and sure, it's going to be RNG at times, or you're going to get garbage. But you're going to get some probably pretty good cards that you're going to be able to play out quicker. I think the one game he had played, he got a Magneto from them, and I'm like, damn, like this is so you're going to be getting some pretty good cards now. This will change as the meta changes, obviously too, because like if the meta goes into something where I don't know if somebody's playing junk or something, and you get something that like a debris that you absolutely don't want to have or can't use, that's going to happen. But yeah, I agree with No Big Deal. I like it better than the old one. It's just not as oppressive as the old one was. And so, yeah, it seems like a good change to me. It was definitely obnoxious in the RSM decks for sure. Especially when so many times I just left games when they pull out a Quinjet, and then all of a sudden, they'll Loki and they'll pull another Quinjet out. I just leave. I'm like, no, forget it. They're getting such a big discount on all that stuff plus the extra energy. It's like I'm not even sticking around for this game. It's not even worth it. So yeah, I like it. I think it could have been done much worse. And like No Big Deal said, they could have killed the card, and they didn't. It just seems like they gave you a better way to play it. And not so broken, maybe are the words I'm looking for. But yeah, I was kind of surprised. I thought really the same thing you did, Kid. I thought it was dead when I first heard. I'm like, oh, that's done. Nobody's going to bother with that anymore, especially low-key diehards. But I don't know. There's people playing with it, so I think it's good. I think they did a good job with it.
Yeah, I like it. It's a cool change. It's unique. It does keep the flavor and it doesn't seem too broken, and it seems pretty good still. So I guess only time will tell. But they mentioned Snow Guard here. They should really revert the Snow Guard change then.
Yeah.
They should make like at least the bear 2 cost.
Yeah,
They
make
don't
the
have to
bear
make the
2.
Hawk.
I think the bear should be a 2.
Now that they like completely ruined that interaction with Loki and Snow Guard doesn't really have a home. They should make the bear a little bit better. Yeah, bear 2 would be nice because then you could play 1, 2, 3. If you have Snow Guard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Cool change with Loki, dude. I like it.
I will say on Loki too, it also does kind of function as it did before in the sense of if you're playing like Joe used the junk example, but I would say even just junk's a good example, and also like any combo deck, like you're gonna match up like pretty good into Loki, right? And if you're playing like a good cards deck, like you brought up the Magneto, like Magneto's just a good card, right? So then Loki's gonna kind of still probably stomp on you, right? So. But it's not like before where it was like Quinjet, I play Loki, I have a handful of 6 cards that are all -2. I could dump my entire hand out in the next 2 turns because, he's not Sarah, he doesn't cost 5, and get fucked. This card's horseshit, So that was just total horseshit, breaking the game. And now it's like you have to still draw the stuff. Yeah, you get 1 extra draw, but you could only play so many cards. But if you have an entire hand full of reduced cards, you could dump the whole hand, and that's just broken. I don't care. So he's not that anymore, and I'm happy they move him back to a 3/5 to compensate for that, because they knew that obviously this is a much weaker effect than he had before. So he got a pretty massive cost buff there. Going from a 4/5 to a 3/5 is absolutely massive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Imagine Shang-Chi goes to a 3/4. It's insane. It's like the most broken card in the game by far.
Yeah. All right. Leech was a 5/5 on reveal and remove the text from the cards with on reveal's abilities. This card has been changed so many times. Now it's a 4/4 on reveal. Remove the text from 6 cost cards in your opponent's hand. Man, what do you guys think? Go ahead. You guys talk.
Sure, I'll go quick. I just Joe, I would say I don't think you're gonna have to worry about Galactus.
No, I don't either.
I think this is a dead card. This is a absolutely brutal change to Leech. But I have been saying it. I think he has been a fake release valve. I mean, they every time they touch Leech, they would always be like, "Hey, we need him for the release valve." I think it's horseshit. Yeah. I've always thought it was horseshit. What, shut down every card in the game? That's a release valve to what? Every deck in the game? It's what are we talking about? It was never like a release valve to me. It's like you had Sandman in the game. You have Cosmo for on reveals. We already had the release valves, and Leech just was catch all. And so I don't think the card design. Actually, the last Leech change, I think I've talked about it a good amount. Where I just think that the design of the card is a problem. Now they basically just said, "Hey, we're gonna deal with this problem down the road sometime," because I think this is a horrible card now. I don't think this is playable in any sense. I don't think this is a playable card.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think people are really going to touch it anymore. It still should probably be reworked at some point into something different. They wanted to keep this manipulating cards thing with it, and I guess I don't know. Maybe they look at that as what the character kind of does. But yeah, it's I think I agree. With the whole release valve comment and everything like that. There's a lot of things out there that can still do that kind of stuff. So he wasn't necessary. And then, this just caused so many issues. I mean, Doc Ock aside, and we'll get to him, but like when you saw this popping up all of a sudden back again, Leach, he always seems to resurface, man. This thing goes away and he just comes back. He floats back to the top somewhere. And then he was all of a sudden in these RSM decks, and you see him being pulled out, and I'm like, oh my god, here we go. And I knew the minute that was happening that it's and if you're playing a lot of times, if you're playing RSM versus RSM, holy cow, this would wreck your hand. Like because so many times you have all unreveals in your hand, whether for cards that you may have gotten from from RSM or your own, that it wrecks your whole hand. You just lose. So yeah, I think they need to rework this card, make it something else for down the road. Because yeah, like I said earlier, it can stop a Hela, it can stop, but who's gonna put it in their deck at a 4/4, which again isn't great. To just do that and hope your opponent's playing 6 cards, and now they may not be a lot. Like you're going to see smaller decks now. The Darkhawk decks out there don't play any 6 cards really. The Ajax junk lists don't play 6 cards. So this isn't a good time to worry about 6-cost cards from this card. So yeah, I think he's pretty much dead. I don't think anybody's really going to play him very much anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love this change. I love it. I love this card how it is now. I hope they leave it. I hope they don't change it anymore. 4/4 is tough. Like it's a tough to play, right? But like this is now, like I agree with you what you said, no big deal. It was kind of not really a release valve before. Yeah. This is now a release valve for when there's metas like when Hela came. Mm-hmm. When there's that like oppressive Hela meta, this just fixes that. You put this in your deck, it fixes that, Mm-hmm. This is another answer for tribunal lists. Which, like, if you find it, not that you're going to start putting Leech in, like, your decks, but you might if there's decks like that start getting, very popular. Like, how are you going to combat Tribunal? You really can't unless you have Enchantress. Now you can have Enchantress or Leech, It gets rid of Magneto, gets rid of Blob. It's like, if there's, like, decks that can start, if there starts to be, like, more ramp decks that become popular where they're cheating out 6-drops all the time, like they just changed Lockjaw, Leech becomes a pretty decent, option. Like maybe he goes in like a Thanos Lockjaw kind of list as well. He can screw the 6-cost cards over. He's not good at a 4/4. Like that's a shit stat line. But like to take out the 6-cost cards, and for him to be shit right now, I'm happy for him to be shit right now. I'm kind of sick of him, to be honest with you. And also, selfishly, in my Phoenix Force deck, I don't play any 6-drops, so I'm happy to fucking have this card as a 4/4. So, yeah, so yeah, I mean. He's bad, but right now, if like there's like a Hela or some weird 6-drop they release in the future that's breaking the game, we'll have good old Leech to take care of those decks, and fuck it, I'm happy about it.
Oh yeah, So that's some good points, Kid, for sure. And I do want to bring up kind of some of the macro stuff I was talking about at the beginning, where I thought, it's just going to be Thena tier 0, but then I realized like, as I'm kind of playing like. Leech and Dr. Octopus and Leech specifically, like for a lot of this stuff, were really holding back every single combo deck in the game. Yeah. Any deck that could pop off at the end, like man, like just you could not play it because Leech would just erase your hand. So like for example, I'm playing discard right now. We talked about the Moon Knight change. Moon Knight got some more help, not just Apocalypse, but how about Leech just being out of the game? Like Leech just hit your MODOK before. They play Leech on 4, and now you can't MODOK. So that's just like not a playable deck. It's like something I didn't even like realize was happening because I hadn't played too much discard since Proxima and Corvus, month, which was like February or something. So like, yeah, like you can't play these decks. There's so many combo decks. Wong, Odin, like you said, the Thor, Beta Ray Bill, all this stuff. Like Leech, GG. Nothing you could do. So Galactus, Leech, nothing you could do. So and to that point, a lot of these decks can go above the Athena deck. So it's something I didn't really consider. Like, yeah, Athena's still sick, and Athena herself, I think, is just a busted card on her own. But like all the combo decks can actually output more power than the Athena deck. Whereas before, it's like you try to go over top the Athena, have a Leech, Doctor Octopus, go fuck yourself. So it's like it's kind of interesting. Like this change. I think it opens up the meta in a way I like I said, my smooth reptile brain was not comprehending on my first reaction to these OTAs. So I'm having a lot of fun on the ladder right now.
That seems to be a common thing with this fucking card Leech. Every time it becomes oppressive, everyone says you can't have fun with these nice combo decks. You just get oppressive bullshit decks, and that use Leech and cheat Leech out. Now that Leech is gone, you can play. You can actually fucking play the game and have fun with these cool. Like the coolest cards are the on reveal ones, man. Like you can do some wild cool shit. So like it's great. That's why I hope they don't change this card. Fucking keep him. I don't care. Let him be horrible. I don't care.
Yeah, I'll figure out other release valves. Like Shadow King's really good. Like there's all there's all kinds of other release valves. We don't need a Leech. Get him out of here.
All right, Dr. Octopus was a 5/10. Pull 4 cards from your opponent's hand to their side of the location. Now he's a 4/8. On reveal, pull the lowest power card from your opponent's hand to their side of this location. I don't know. I thought he was bad at first. I haven't played with him, the new Doc Ock. Like I thought this is just like kills the card because it takes away a lot of his flavor. I thought it was fun pulling 4 cards. Like I really liked the 5/10 Doc Ock. And then I thought Shang-Chi was like enough a release valve for Dr. Octopus himself because half the time he pulled Shang-Chi and kills your Dr. Octopus.
All the time.
I thought that was like good enough, but turn 4 Dr. Octopus does kind of suck, but I've seen some people online playing with the 4/8 saying that it's good and it's actually might even be a buff compared to this being a nerf. I don't know because I haven't played with it, and this is like a really weird, kind of cool change. But I don't know. I'm curious to see what you guys think.
What do you think, Joe?
He looked really good in the junk list, the junk bounce list with Werewolf that TLSG made. I'll tell you that. He kept. You bring that out. You pull that one card out. You pull that one card out and do it over and over again. He seemed like a pretty good fit in that deck. So I don't think he's necessarily dead. Again, this is another one. When I first looked at it, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, like you mentioned, kid, for what he did, you're clogging that lane. And yes, he would get Shang 9 times out of 10 himself. But then you have that lane all the time. It's like he was a magnet to Shang-Chi. But, then you have that lane there that's now blocked. And you could Shang it yourself to end the game, and you win that lane most of the time. So, I could see where that was oppressive. But what I thought most about, though, was, he's losing a cost, but the stat line dove from 10 to 8, and I'm like, 8 is okay, I guess, but I'm like, I don't know. The whole point of him was bringing out and again, the bad part about this is, they're pulling the lowest power, but look at the cards that are in the meta right now. Darkhawk doesn't show his power until he hits the board. So if he pulls a Darkhawk out, you're helping your opponent. So I don't know. I'm still kind of iffy on this one, but I did see, like I said, that bounce deck looked pretty good with him in there. You can keep doing that over and over and just kind of pull their cards out of their hands. And you can't always get some lower cards that they just aren't playing or have in their hands for whatever reason that they didn't put down early on. I don't know what to make of this one. I think I'm going to need a little bit of time to see what he's going to be, and see how he's going to work in decks across the meta and stuff like that. Personally, I honestly really haven't played this much, except for those junk lists that they were in. I haven't played him much. He used to be a staple in my ramp decks years ago, a year and a half ago or so. I don't know. This is a wait and see kind of a thing for me. I want to see how it looks. I do think the power, though, still matters. I think that 10 to 8 power still matters.
Yeah, I play a lot of Doc Ock in the diner. 0 to 30 million. I've just absolutely abused this card. Just Doc Ock one lane, Cannonball the other lane. Easy peasy
Yep.
GG. I'm playing Magic in there too. If I got to, like Joe said, clean up the dock lane with the Shang, I can do that. I got 7 turns. I'm chilling, and that got me the Cassandra Nova. So I played a lot of Diner, and Doc Ock was my main win condition. So I will say I don't think like he deserved the Loki treatment. I think this is like very similar to the Loki nerf or change or whatever you want to call it that Loki just got in the same OTA. Like, I don't think Doc Ock was nearly as good of a card as Loki was. I think Loki was one of the best cards in the game. I mean, 5'10 Doc Ock's been pretty obsolete for probably most of Marvel Snap's lifespan, but these we take Professor X out of the game, and these decks were cheating out Prof X before. Can't do that anymore because Prof X sucks now. And so then what's the alternative to that? The best Leech and Doc Ock, right? So now like all 3 of them are I would say Leech and Prof X just completely nuked. Doc Ock, very interesting change. Like I said, similar to Loki. This stat line is awesome for him. Like, I think it's way better than a 5'10. Like 4'8 is like quite a bit of power. It's the Hell Cow stat line, and you can't get Shang-Chi now. So you pull the lowest power card. Well, Shang-Chi has 3 power. If you pull the Shang-Chi, who cares? You have an 8 power card. That's pretty sick, right? So like I think you love playing the 4-8 here, and I definitely want to try him out in Junk. I think he's going to be maybe like a legitimately playable card in that deck, because it's similar to a Stegron. I want to say now Stegron's like 4-7 moves to the right. This is 4-8 pulls out of the hand, which also disrupts your opponent, but has some downside because you are putting power on their board. So I see this as maybe like similar to kind of Stegron power level, and I'd like to try it out in Junk. Maybe a little Doc Ock, play Grandmaster, pull another card. Already got the White Widow, all this shit, or Doc Ock absorbing something like this, clog, Cannonball. I'd like to try it out personally. Still, I think it's interesting. But yeah, I mean, shit, man. A lot of these boys catching strays because of Big Boy Irish.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to bring up too, the thing that again, I haven't played this card, so like I really want to play because this is such a pretty big significant change. Like I feel like I have to play it to get a nice opinion on it. But like the thing that I was really reluctant about that made me think that it's not that great, which it's probably great in Junk still. Like, don't get me wrong, but like my initial gut reaction was when they moved Sentry from a 4-10 to a 4-8. Man, the 4-8 felt like fucking shit. Now this does a different purpose, I guess. Because you're actually like disrupting your opponent and clogging. So like if you're playing a clog deck, it actually will help you, right? It's the lowest power card. But like I don't know, the Sentry, like the 4-10 Sentry was like great, and the 4-8 was like no one plays Sentry anymore. It's like so bad, right? So that's what makes me think that.
Yeah, I would say I agree with that, but going from a 5 cost is much different than staying. Yeah. Like that's just totally that's the difference. Yeah,
that's true. Cool. Yeah.
But
so time will tell.
Right. Yeah.
Time will tell. But yeah, people are having success, so I guess it's probably decent. Widow's Kiss went from a -4 to a -3. What do you guys think?
Good change. Broken card got a little bit worse. Very good.
Yeah, they needed. This was a long time coming. I think they had to tune this up. It's a 2/6. I mean, the card's a 2/6. That's a pretty damn good stat line. So yeah, it's yeah, I agree with this. I mean, I would have been okay if they went to -2. Being honest with you, because I'm fine with this. I think it's good. Yeah, I agree with No Big Deal. I think it's a good change.
Yep, great change.
I like will say I won't be surprised if this isn't enough for White Widow, but we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell, like you said. But yeah, what do you think, Kid?
Yeah, I think it's a great change. The -4 was ridiculous. I think we said that even when the card came out. It's pretty ridiculous. This could even be a -2 and still be pretty damn good. Still, I don't think you'd play it any less, to be honest. Because it clogs the spot on your opponent's board. Like they're 90% of the time they're filling up their lane anyway. So like this negative power doesn't matter 90% of the time. Like it's just how it works, right? Like they just fill up their lane. So it's the power of actually clogging them. You do get some like priority stuff early on with this, but like I don't know how big of an impact this will have if it'll actually change the outcome of everything by the end of it. But it's just a nice good clog card. So I like this change, and yeah, like you said, if it's a -2, I think it's probably still a great card.
Yeah, if they ever move her to a 2-1, that'll be a pretty serious nerf. But as it is now, 2-2 with basically the same effect. That like you said, it's probably gonna be a 0 anyway. So
Yeah.
it's pretty. Yeah, it's not gonna change too much. I don't think.
Blob,
Oh boy.
no big deal. Your boy.
Oh boy.
We just did a 6-cost tier list. Blob was S tier. No big deal's favorite card. Card he loves. He's pouring out right now for the audio listeners. He just dumped some water on his desk. Poor guy. And his cup, I don't know if his cup was filled with his tears or actual water. I don't know what was happening.
I'll raise mine up here
too. There's blob sweat in there. That's right.
There it is.
I'll raise mine here too. So yeah, I agree.
Blob was a 6-0, 50. Merge your cards from your deck into this until it gains 15 or more power. Now it's merge until it gains 13 or more power. So still can be more than 13. It still can be 20 if the stars align and stuff. But yeah, more often than not, it's going to be probably within like the 13 to 17, 18 range.
Yeah, like 15 average maybe.
Yeah.
15, 16.
So I don't know, Joe. What do you think? And then we'll let No Big Deal end this segment.
Yeah,
we'll give him some time to reflect.
This card just keeps getting hit and hit and hit. I mean, they thought the Rogue was going to do it. That they took his ability away so that he couldn't get the copies, and Rogue couldn't steal his ability anymore. Man, the poor guy just keeps getting put on diet after diet after diet, and losing more and more. Just when I got a really cool beach variant of him too, I'm at Blob on the beach, which is hilarious actually. It's I don't know. I think he'll still be played in the decks that he was, where he was still. I think Arsham will still play him, to be honest, because like you were saying, he's still going to be at worst. He's a 6'13", 6'14", in and around there. If he averages a 15, he's still bigger than, a Giganto or a Magneto or any of that kind of stuff anyway. And the other deck he was in is the Thanos deck that's running around now a little bit with Lockjaw. He's still going to be played in there, I think, as just a good big power option. But yeah, again, this is another one, like I mentioned, that took bullets because of Arsham. I didn't really understand this one, to be honest, when I saw it, because I'm like, wait a minute, you just got rid of the Rogue thing, and I can understand that getting obnoxious. You get one Blob and he's over 20, then you get another one on top of it and he's over 20. I mean, that's ridiculous. But now that they got rid of that, you weren't seeing this. You were seeing Blob still in there, but he was just a one time. You weren't seeing it twice. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking this is a little unnecessary. But again, I don't really know if it's going to matter. I don't think it will. I think it just stays in the decks that it was in. The Arsham decks that I don't face many of them now, but I think I played like 2 or 3 of them last night. All 3 of them had it in there. So I don't think it's going to matter. I think they're still going to keep it in their deck. But yeah, kind of sucks. Good card, fun card. But he's been changed so much since it first came out that I almost feel bad for poor Blob. So.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It looks like they say he's one of the winningest cards in Arsham decks, and they continue to do No Big Deal's favorite thing is nerf every other card in the archetype except the actual fucking card that they're worried about. So it looks like he was close to 6'17". It looks like they want him closer to a 6'15", is what I'm reading into this. So that's why they made him a 13. And I think I don't know. I'm not happy about it, but whatever. No big deal.
Well, look, I mean, this was an S tier 6 drop, so I understand hitting the S tier cards. I do think it's horseshit that they don't hit Arsham. Obviously, they should be nerfing Arsham. The first change should not be Loki on this list. It should be Arsham, then Loki. Then Thena. It should be Arsham, Loki, Thena. That's what we should have saw on this OTA. At least if I was doing it, that's what I would have done. So it's just a little bit ridiculous, and I like your idea, Joe. Just add 6 cards to the Arsham. I think that's a perfect change for him.
Yeah.
Adjusting his power is not going to do anything. Nope. So, just add 6 cards. I think that kind of honestly fixes everything. But my boy Blob caught a stray. I do think it was really good and probably deserved a nerf. But this is kind of harsh, honestly. I think that this is probably a bad card now. We did we did the 6 cost tier list. I had this in S tier. I'd put it in Met tier now. So that our Met tier had what? Like, was Giganto in there, kid? What else was in the Met tier? Like some stuff like that. Not quite like Orca, level, like at the bottom, but like Destroyer was in there, like these kind of cards, So I do think he belongs there, because you just think about it, like Vanilla Hulk is a 12, and that's an absolute dog shit card, like just horrible, one of the worst cards in the game. You're just playing straight up Vanilla Hulk, right? So like this could be a 13 like a lot of the time for 6. Like that's really bad. I think anyone who's playing this in their Irisham deck and is not playing Red Hulk in their Irisham deck is dumb, and they should take it out and put a Red Hulk in their Irisham deck. Like, what are you doing? Like one thing, and he goes up to 13 already. Yeah. That's the blob minimum. So he's 16. He's probably ahead of your blob. So stop, guys. Stop. Put take cards like Eliath. Put Red Hulk, like She-Hulk. These kind of cards. Put those cards in your Irisham deck. Don't put blob. Like this card is. I mean, he might be fine in Irisham specifically.
Yeah.
But like, just as a whole, I just think it's not a great card. It's one of the shittier 6 drops now. There's a lot of good ones. So
this is reminiscent almost of like the collector change you made with Loki, whereas though collector was still really fucking good in Loki decks, but shit in every other deck. And I feel like Blob's still going to be good in Arsham decks because you can play him on turn 5. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you want to play a 13 to 15 power to 16 power whatever thing on turn 5? It's a great thing to do.
I don't know. I think I'd rather play a Doctor Doom, or I'd rather play a Red Hulk. I think that's what
you put those cards into it.
I haven't caught on to that yet. Turn 5 Magneto is like really strong. Yeah, you could because 3 and 4 just happened. So whatever they play on 3 and 4, you could probably clog something on 5. They're not ready for. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe it'd be fine in Arsham, because obviously that's the perfect archetype for him. But man, like, I don't know, man. 13 sucks. Like,
it feels bad.
If he rolls 13, you're fucked. Like, it's really bad. At least 15 was the minimum, right? So 15 is like fine. Like, you're fine if it stops at 15, 16. You're okay. Stops at 13, 14 even. Like, it's really bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, poor Blob. Put him on a diet.
R.I.P.
War Machine, 4-6 to a 4-7. Good. He was not played and not very good. So I like this change.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's okay. I mean, they're giving him a point of power. You really never saw this card played much at all. I still think this card hinges, though, on Professor X. And if Professor X is dead and not in the meta, then I don't think this card is going to be around either. Most of the time when they do buffs and stuff on cards, you might see cards appear that weren't being played, and maybe he'll make a little bit of an appearance. But as long as Professor X is where he is, and honestly, I've tried playing him. He's been in the Galactus deck that I've had. He's just not good, because you have so many cards now that can move that people are playing. Whether it's Nocturne or Nightcrawler or all that kind of stuff, you're getting copycats copying move cards. So it's just bad. And so I don't know that War Machine will really fit. I mean, the whole thing with the Infinite being able to be played and all that's kind of cool. So maybe people will go back to that a little bit. But yeah, it's all right. Any card that gets buffed and sees maybe a little more play, or maybe somebody comes up with something creative with it, that's cool. I like his ability, and I like what he does. Remember how this was such an anticipated card? Everybody wanted, oh my God, War Machine's going to be so good. Such a big card coming out, and then it sucked, and nobody ended up playing it much.
Grandmaster. Shades of Grandmaster.
Man. But yeah, it's all right. I think it's fine. It's 1 point of power. It remains to be seen whether or not it's going to get played. And I think, like I said, a lot of that was in conjunction with lockdown. So I don't know, unless they find another way to get Prof X working well again or something. I'm really not too sure we'll see too much of a play from the card. So
what do you think, kid?
Well, I would say I like this change. I know, I don't know. Yeah, obviously Professor X is nice. The Ebony Maw Infinite interaction is very interesting and a very good interaction. 4-7 might be enough for him to see some play in some decks. I want to see him in like a Black Knight kind of deck. I want to see if there's like going to be some Black Knight decks that come, because you can play like Infinite in those decks, right? And that way you can either discard it to get like the Ebony Blade as a 20. Maybe there's like a Dracula in those decks too, and War Machine could just be something that is like a tool to either use your Infinite on turn 5, or and maybe an Ebony Maw as well, or get into other locations. Maybe it's just like a nice tech addition in a deck like that. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see where it kind of goes.
Yeah, I love this change. I think this is a sick change. I think that this is a card that needed it. Like Joe said, nobody's playing it, so why not? Just if nobody's playing a card, why not give it a point of power? Let's see what happens. And 4/7 starts to get a little bit respectable now, and 4/6 feels like you think about Iron Lad. Like Iron Lad really has to do something as a 4/6. Like he really has to hit something that you feel good about. If he hits if he bricks, hits Wasp or something, like it happens sometimes. You're playing a Patriot list, he hits the Wasp, then maybe you go to a 4/8, you buff him with Patriot, but it's not great, So you want to hit the Iron Man, the Onslaught, all that stuff. So 4/6 is like not a good stat line. So the effect has to be really powerful. His effect's interesting, but not always powerful, depending on what happens with the board. But I do think this Ice Machine deck, Iceman's War Machine deck, or maybe JJ Rolk, we don't know. We'll see. But one of these guys made this Ice Machine deck. I think it's really good. I mean, for the couple days I played it, it was strong. I've just been grinding discard for the last day, so I haven't got to try it. But for people listening, if you want to try out some new War Machine spice and you haven't heard about the Ice Machine deck, it's the Hood, Ebony Maw, Shadow King, White Widow, Jeff, Electro, Viper, War Machine, Blink, Cersei, Red Hulk, Infinite. For the couple days me and the kid played this deck, we were crushing it, people on the ladder. It was like really powerful. Nice. And I'm excited to try this, and I'm excited to try new Doc Ock, cards that haven't got to play with yet that got changed this week. Really cool stuff.
Yeah. I think it could be cool. Hopefully some people will come up with some fun decks, because it is a fun ability that he has, just to start playing cards anywhere. It's hilarious. And then the last change here, Apocalypse. They give this card back some love. He was a 6/6, now he's a 6/8. It's great, unless he gets leeched, and then you're gonna discard your Apocalypse for good. But he suffers from the leech change, but it's okay.
Little okay with Dracula if you got him up a couple times,
Yeah,
10 or 16.
Yeah, no, I'll start with this. I love this change. I think it's great. I think discard's coming back. I was never a big discard stan to begin with, but the Moon Knight change, having cards like Proxima, Corvus, I think it's going to be a competitive deck. I think it's going to be able to put up numbers, akin to those of the Athena decks and stuff. Time will tell if that's the case, but there'll be some experimentation with cards like Stature in the discard decks, because Moon Knight won't hit it. And they'll be able to put up a lot of stats, man. So just giving it 2 more, I think, is really nice, and something that the archetype needed, because the archetype was completely non-existent the last couple months. And it would be nice to see it a little bit, so I don't know. I like it a lot. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah,
man?
I'm good with this. Like I said, I'm excited to play discard again, and I think a lot of that was from Moon Knight. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Moon Knight will hit this card, and so many other ways you can get it up in power now. Obviously, your MODOK and many other things that can hit him. Lady Sif. So you can get this probably pretty easily now, if you have all those cards in your deck, to 10, 12, 14, you probably get it up pretty high. And then, of course, you have the Dracula as well at the end. So, yeah, I like it. I think it's going to kind of reinvigorate an archetype that no one was playing pretty much, and bring it back into the meta a little bit. And I'm good with it. I like this style of it. And Moon Knight's obviously fun to play. So yeah, I kind of dig it. I don't know that I've tried the Black Bolt Stature one. Not as much success with it, and I don't know that I like that one as much. But yeah, no, I like it. I'm glad they changed it, and they put it back. And like you said, hopefully we'll see discard around now a little more.
No big deal, man. What are you saying?
I was like, Joe, I'll give you a good deck list.
Okay.
Don't worry. I'll give you the spice.
Right.
Well, it's mostly figured out. I mean, most people kind of figured out the MODOK. It's tough to get too creative with the MODOK list, but for this APOC change, I didn't realize how big of a difference this made. But till they first nerfed them, and then I tried playing discard with it, and you really do feel it. I find that where it like really comes into play. I've tried when they first did this nerf. I'm like, all right, I'll do like some Wong collector helicarrier stuff. Just kind of not focus so much on the Dracula game plan. And then you realize, like, wow, like the Dracula game plan is absolutely ridiculous, and it's like your main win condition, and is so good basically all of the time. And you really just, I think the deck's just better with Dracula in it. Like even with Red Guardian running around, you got to be careful about the Red Guardian. You could try to shield it with Meek if like you're really cheeky, but the second you play MODOK, then they can hit you. So it's a little tricky. You're probably just not avoiding the Red Guardian, unfortunately. But the mind games, so like Dracula, like the 2 power doesn't matter so much when Dracula's hitting it. Dracula's probably winning the game anyway, but a lot of the time you do want to play out your Apocalypse. And that 2 power, like that could be a difference between a 14 power Apocalypse and a 12 power Apocalypse. And like I said, playing a 12 power vanilla on turn 6 is really bad, even though you probably got a couple swarms. Having a 14 with a couple swarms, all right, I could put 17 here, 3 over here. Dracula hits my Proxima, goes up to a 4-8, Proxima goes somewhere else. Like, that's a really nice turn 6. And you don't always want to just all in the Dracula lane, because your opponent's probably going to not want to play on the Dracula lane anyway, because they see a Dracula sitting there. So the playing the Apocalypse on the actual board, this makes a big difference. This 2 power, you do need it to get over the top of these Thena, Angela lanes, like these 28 power lanes. Like you need a big boy Apocalypse, and now we got him, baby. Let's go.
Yeah,
that's great. I love it. So I kind of love these OTAs, and even like the patch, like they're good changes all around. I like all except for the blob one. I don't really like too much, but everything else I think is pretty cool. Headed in the right direction. They didn't do anything too fucked up, which is nice, because sometimes they just don't have a clue. Other than they clearly think Arashem's a problem, and they haven't fucking nerfed that one card, just every other card around it.
Solve the
but
problem.
Getting rid of Leech, Leech taking strays in the meantime, I don't fucking mind that one.
Yeah, that's fine. Same with Loki. I'm okay with Loki too.
Yeah, like that's okay. In this case, it seems to be okay. Like it's all the cards people hate. So
yeah, I'd give it a good overall score. Just next time, let's get Thena doing something there. I think because I really do think that now you're going to see that list is going to just be on top of the meta. I think, and in so many different variations that it has. But yeah, I liked it. Everything they did, I think, was good. Looking at it back in retrospective and seeing what the cards are going to be like, without testing some of them. Like I haven't tested Doc Ock really or any of that stuff yet. So, but yeah, I'm good with it. I like it.
Yeah, it's great. And I think a good rule of thumb, going forward is any card in this game, at least in its current history, that says add +3 is going to be a broken card and eventually need to be changed. Every single fucking one that's had that text, they've changed. And it seems like Thena is one of the most powerful cards in the game right now. And that's like the only one with +3, There was Silver Surfer, there was Elsa, there was there was probably other ones.
Forge had +3, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't know, probably.
I think the first 2 costs had +3 Forge. Yep. It was insane.
Yeah. So anyways, So anyway, let's talk about alliances. Yeah. I want to talk about alliances because I've been having a lot of fucking fun with alliances. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of want to, Joe, what do you think so far? Like, what is your overall thoughts about alliances?
I like. Well, see, I was always coming from World of Warcraft. I played in a lot of guilds. Guilds are always fun. People, now it's a little different because I don't know, they might introduce this if you end up going alliance versus alliance, which they said was coming down the road. You would have guild wars sometimes between 2 guilds. You would complete missions together, and that's essentially what they're doing here. I like it. I like it. It's a way for people to, and you guys like myself. I mean, I called myself. What was mine? The Snap DJ's casual. So I used the word casual in mine too, which of course fits. I mean, it's like, and I don't want anybody to come in and listen. I've already seen some of these guilds out there. People are posting them. oh my God, some of them are up into millions in bounty points and all this kind of stuff. So people are going at this like, dude, they're going at this hardcore, and I'm like, Jesus, like I'm never gonna get to anywhere close to that. But no, I like it. I like doing the missions. You're getting rewards. Everybody can go at their own pace, which I'm good with. As of right now, mine was filled within like 2 hours, 3 hours. I had one person leave, and that was it. Everybody else that I have there is still there. There's 30 people there. People are messaging me back and forth saying, "Hey, I like this. I like to be able to do this, this, and this." You're getting the only thing that I found was a little annoying in them is that the decks get shared every time somebody wins 8 cubes. So it'll say 8 cube win, 8 cube win, 8 cube win, and you'll see all these decks, which is okay. I mean, I told them you can go into the settings and take that out. You can stop that from happening because that's that bot in there.
Yeah.
So I told them I was going to do it, but then most everybody said, "Oh no, we like to see everybody's decks." So yeah, look, it's cool. I like the fact that there's chat in there. I can end up, as a creator, I can go in there and say, "Hey, I have a pod coming out tomorrow, so go check it out." You're gonna get to those people that they'll do that. And I told them I was coming on your show, and people are in there. "Oh, I can't wait to hear that episode with you and the kid and stuff like that." So I dig it. I wanted a way to interact socially with people in this game. There wasn't. There just wasn't. You had emotes. That was it. Now you do. And I like it. I dig it. I would like it, and I don't know how they're going to do it going forward. I would like to see them make them bigger. Guilds that I had in Warcraft, Jesus, you can have 500, 1,000 people. I don't want them to be that big, but I think maybe we're at 30 now. I think 50 might be a pretty good number. I think 50 may be a pretty good number. Because there's and there's still people that are on X coming out saying, "Oh, do you have any spots? Do you have any spots?" And I'm sure you guys are going to see that too. And so I think maybe a little bit bigger, but I like it. I like the missions. No Big Deal was mentioning them earlier. That one mission where they fill the board, and you can just go and just do it. You can mess around. You don't necessarily have to play. You play it in Conquest. You can play it in Deadpool's Diner, which is out now. And you can fill all the lanes. You don't have to win the games. Then you got a scoreboard there and something. And that's a good way to track things too a little bit, because you can see who's doing stuff and who's not. If you see somebody in there that's just resting on the bottom and has zeros across the board, well, then you could say, all right, hey, give them a message in the thing. Say, hey, you doing anything? You hanging out? You having fun? Blah, blah, blah. If they don't respond, then it's like, all right, well, then maybe I can get some other openings in there, some other spots I can fill and stuff like that. So I like it, man. I want the Galactus symbol, though. That's what I want in there. I don't know how they would do it, but I want the Galactus symbol in there. I keep switching mine because I like the Fantastic Four one. Of course, I'm a big fan of that. And I'm switching the borders and stuff out, which that's cool too. But I think they aced this. I really did. I didn't know how they were going to do it. I was wondering if they're going to let other people join multiple guilds, but I can see why you really can't. It would get completely nuts. But I like this, man. I really do. I think they did a good job with this.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it. I think they did a really, really good job. There's a few things which we can talk about in a little bit, like that I would like to see, just like improvements. Like, I don't think anything's bad. Like, I'm not like mad about anything. I'm not like everything's awesome. And yeah, Joe, I agree with you 100%. Sometimes like seeing all the 8 cubes, like when the boys and girls are popping off in there, and it's like killing all the feed. It's nice to be able to turn it off. Yeah. So at least you can turn it off, and then if you want to go back and see the decks, and you can copy and paste the decks, that's a really cool feature. Cool. I love how it's just like you just grab the bounties. I've made specific decks for every bounty already, so I can just get them done quickly. Nice. Donate bubs. It's hilarious. I love it, man. And yeah, the social aspect is so much fun. It's good seeing everyone in there, getting thoughts and, people helping each other out. And it's just going to, get better over time. One thing I would love to see, I don't know if this is a feature they would ever do, but like, it would be really cool if like in game, there was a button you could push when you're playing to take like an in-game screenshot and then share it with your alliance. Like if you had like a really cool, like board state, that would be fun. I understand that you can't post pictures in the chat because that will get degenerate really fucking quick on the internet. This is the internet after all. Fucking
Yeah.
There could be they'll get degenerate and illegal pretty quick. I would imagine something.
Yeah,
So
they will.
open, but like if there was an in-game button to be like
Right.
share this screenshot to my alliance,
I would love that too.
that would be really cool because
That'd
like
be sick.
there's some really weird stuff that happens in this game, and that's one of the coolest parts about this game because there's so much fucking things that can happen. That'd be so cool to see that because there's a lot of times you're like, man, I want to share this with the alliance. I'm like, oh, okay, no, I can't. So that'd be one thing that I think would be a cool feature in the in the future if that's a thing. But yeah, I don't know. I'll stop ranting. No big deal. What are your initial thoughts? What do you think, man?
No, yeah, I really like it. I agree with a lot of what you guys are saying. I think the screenshots are a really good one because me and the kid have just been spamming each other screenshots for the last year nonstop. I mean, we just DM like this wild shit happens. Like, oh, look at this. Like, there's just some crazy board states that can happen in Marvel Snap, and you got to just screenshot it sometimes. It's one of the funnest things to do. So I will say to the 8 cube win thing, I love it personally. It's actually one of my favorite features of the whole alliance system. Shout out to OK Ninja who beat my ass in a show match like a year ago when we argued because he thought 1-4 Martyr was good, and we got a lot of, like Twitter beef over that, and he ended up beating my ass in a show match in a 1-on-1. So shout out to OK Ninja. He played discard deck, and I'm like, oh man, you're right. Like, what am I doing playing frickin' Thena? Let me play. So it kind of inspired me. Like, I want to play some discards. So I copied his deck, and I'm like, okay, let me switch out his collector and a helicarrier in here. Let me switch out a couple cards. And then I ended up, with a really good discard deck. And he said he got it from somewhere else. So, but the nice thing is you see somebody just won an 8 cube match with it. So, like, there's a good chance that it's like a pretty good deck. If they won 8 cubes with it, it's got to be decent, right? And people are just popping off in here. Like, I think I saw Fingon won with a 8 cube with a negative Surfer. I saw Stanky Kang. I think he won with a move deck that had Spider-Man 2099 in it. I'm like, bro, like I didn't even know people were playing this shit. Like, I had no idea. Like I'm paid to win $5 a month for Untapped, and I'm not seeing these decks on Untapped, but the boys are out here just crushing with freaking 8 cube decks with Spider-Man 2099 and Mr. Negative Surfer, and like I think that's sick, and that makes me want to try these decks. Like, these are really cool ideas. Like, let me copy it, try it myself, because I just it's not something I even like give any thought to. I'm just in my own little bubble, just brewing random shit. But I feel like I always go to like the similar decks. So I like the 8 cube stuff. I like the social part of it. I think it's good that it's 8 cube specifically because it doesn't spam the chat like crazy, right? If it was like a 4 cube or more, then I think it would just take over the whole chat and it would be too much. So it's like has to be an 8 cube, right? So at least you can still have a conversation. And yeah, I mean, the social aspect's awesome. The missions are cool. It's something else to do. Like I said, like forces you to play different decks, which I really like. And yeah, man, it's cool, man. I look forward to see what the future holds for the alliances. I do hope they keep adding to it, and they could do clan wars, all this shit. Like, would be cool down the road for sure.
The one thing I did notice, that 8 cube thing, because I noticed last night, all I was playing last night was Conquest, because I was trying to test out some decks and get that fill the board mission. They count wins in Conquest as 8 cube wins. And there's proving grounds and stuff, and because and even if you do like Silver Conquest and you're playing a match of Silver Conquest, if you win a game, it comes out and says you have an 8 cube win. So they have to tweak that a little bit, I guess, in between modes, because it's not always ladder. I assumed that was the case too. I'm like, oh my god, they're getting all these big 8 cube wins on ladder, dude. Awesome, man, they're killing it, like, right? But the 8 cube win comes out. I noticed on other ways too, and usually then it's not necessarily that they're getting 8 cube wins. So, but yeah, just a little nitpicky, goofy thing. But yeah, I agree with everything you said. I love it.
Yeah, the also thing that I like about it too is like with these like random rewards that they have, like I'll just click and I'm sure there's some random fucking ones here. Like look, it's like win with Wave and Magneto, win with Mr. Fantastic and Blue Marvel, Colossus and Armor if you want to pretend. If you want to pretend to be a bot, you can go into incognito.
A little Spectrum deck.
Yeah. So like it also like forces variety too, because like there's a lot of people that want to do these quests, and then they make these weird decks with these weird cards that people don't play too much, and so it actually just forces you to have like variety, and it's pretty cool. That I really like too. The rewards are kind of like I'm not going to complain. They're a little lackluster, but it's free shit. Like it's fine. like the end of the week rewards. Like for the
Yeah.
personal one, if you get 4,000 points by the end of the week, you get 20 boosters, 45 boosters, 65 boosters, then 50, then 100 credits. So you get like 150 credits. And what is this? 110 plus 20 is 135 boosters. Not that bad. And then, your clan can, or your alliance can get, 50, 50, 100. So you can get 200 credits and a mystery variant and 25 boosters if everyone gets 120,000 points. So, it'd be cool if these were like a little bit more. But again, I'm happy just getting free
Yeah.
stuff and I'm not complaining. And, maybe it's just a starting point and they're saying, but yeah.
Yeah, I like the original. My original reaction was I thought those end of week words because I don't read, so I just thought that was at like the end of the month, like end of the season. It's like, oh, I got like 100 credits in the season. I'm like, these awards are ass. Like, what is this shit? Like, I mean, it's no point even doing the missions. But if it's at the end of the week, that's pretty good. If you get 200-300 credits a week, that's pretty good. So yeah, I think that's fine, and I think it would be cool if they're worried about like pay to win stuff. They want people to spend money on the game. It'd be cool if they added a little bit of cosmetics then into the in the future, right? Like maybe just throw some borders or some variants or something else that is not pay to win stuff where it's like you're paying for progression or whatever. Like throw a little bullshit cosmetic.
I think they will. I think they said they wanted borders to be in here at some point. I don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure they said that at one point that they wanted like cosmetics to be in here at some point. So I think it's just in the infancy. Maybe they'll change their mind. Maybe that's not the case, and I could just be drunk, making stuff up. But I think that they said that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool if they did one like in Conquest, like it's like there's like the variant right at each month. Maybe they did like a Alliance exclusive variant. So like if you do this amount by the end of the month, you get the the Mysterio variant or whatever. Like it'd be kind of cool. And everybody in the alliance gets it.
I think they're going to be a little.
Yeah, that would be.
I think they're going to be a little more free with the borders because they are putting them in the season pass. So next month's the Young Avengers season pass is going to have borders. So I think that might. I think you might very well see that as something that's going to end up coming in this for different rewards. Yeah, it's just so cool because they have so many things they could do with this. It's just in its infancy, and guilds. I could just say from Warcraft, guilds only got better. As they went on. They started off with small rewards like this, just gold and this and that. But as they went on, and the longer you were in one, my gosh, they were giving you, like in that game, they were giving you different mounts you can have. They were giving you different skins for things. They can introduce a lot of stuff in this for people that are playing. But I like NoBigDeal's idea. Just maybe something like unique. That you can get for each guild would be kind of cool because then it's like, oh wow, we can go for this prize and get this, and this is unique to our guild. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I love it, and I also agree with you, Joe, 100%. That I think 50 is a pretty good number, but it's nice to start with 30 and see what happens. Fine. And I will say specifically, stuff that we probably want to do for the filthy casuals here. We did leave some spots open, so we still have some spots open for listeners. We do not give a shit if you are good, bad, and we don't care. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, if you have a zero, I don't care. Yeah,
it's a place to hang out, talk shit. Just have fun. We are the filthy casuals for a reason. I don't give a fuck. Like if I miss out on 50, credits at the end of the week, I'm not gonna cry. It's gonna be okay. As long as we're all having fun in there, it's a good time. So, talk to us in our, either look on the screen. This is our clan tag, join, request to join, or just like, leave a comment in YouTube's and say, hey, I want in. We left a spot for the people before I open it up to everyone. Awesome. So it'll be cool that way. And then, once we're full and everything, once this is like a little bit, going, I think it'd be a great idea to have other creators like you, Joe, and like we can just like, maybe have like Gunny T set it up and like just have like tournaments, like they're just like do stupid shit like that, we could put like season passes on the line or something instead of giveaways. Have like a clan tournament, like the content creator like loser has to pay for like the other person, the other one who wins, like or something like that. I think that'd be hilarious. But there's a lot of stuff we could do.
I like it.
I'm excited for it. It's a fun time. Man.
I like it. It's funny because this got more news like about the game than I expected it to. Like a lot of people are saying, hey, Snap finally joined the a lot of other games and adding alliances to the game, and so yeah, this really got some headlines and stuff with this, and yeah, I like it, man. I dig it. I think they really did a good job with it.
Yeah, and also too for our alliance too. Like I just literally like when it came out, created as quickly as
Me
I
too.
could because I didn't know if two alliances could have
Yeah,
the
me
same
too.
name, and like we needed to get the filthy casuals. You know, like there was just no like I
Yeah,
had to do it. So like I was on my phone like
We only have one
immediately got
name. We don't have any other names.
yeah. So we immediately like did it. So like I just picked a random like symbol and stuff. So you know we could vote on it like later on once we get all the alliance members in and vote on what the hell we want to change it and the stuff. So like that's something we could just change later on and it'll be cool, man. It'll be awesome. Oh, one thing I don't like. One thing that actually there is one thing I don't like about this is you can't fucking swear in the
no, you
in
cannot.
Oh
the
yeah.
chat. Do you know how many times I've
I did
typed out a
F.
long
F
message?
worked today. I did F and it worked. So that's one.
There's just some random words that like you can't put like I forget one random thing that I said that was it was derogatory. Don't get me wrong, but like I've had to retype so many messages just because I'm swearing. Like I'm like this is horse shit, and it's like your message has been deleted.
Yeah.
Like fuck, this is bullshit.
Yeah, at least just fully star the word. Like, don't make me retype the whole
Right.
message. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had about
Yeah.
3 messages get and then negated already.
Yeah. That's one thing. Like there should be like a mature mode or something. Like like I don't know.
The guilds,
Like it should be allowed to.
the guilds in Warcraft, you could put age limits on. You were able to do that, but I don't think they could do that in this game because I don't really know that there's any way that they can distinguish it. Like other games, they have like a thing where you put your when you first sign up to play, you put you put that information in, you put your birth date in there too. So, but now not that people can lie. You just put in whatever you want, and stuff like that. But yeah, that's there's going to be some little things that they can look into like that. They may have just gone in there though and put the heavy hammer down on that and just eliminated all that stuff. It's like, nope, you're not using any.
I get it. I'm not actually mad about it, but it's just like I've had my message cocked about 10 times. I'm like, God damn it. But actually they do the age limit stuff. Every time I go back to Canada to visit, when I log into Snap, it's like, are you over the age of 14?
Okay.
It always
Nice.
asks me.
Okay, well,
so I do get that
already in
pop
there
up. So it must maybe it's country specific. I don't know. Like maybe if you go to like Brazil, it'll be like, are you 18 or something? I don't know. But like, because the U.S. I never get that pop up when I come back home here. But like when I go back to Canada to visit family, I always get an like, are you over the age of 14? I'm like, yes. So yeah, I don't know.
I just want to point out, as you're saying that, I pulled up the guild chat. Literally, singing in our guild, he got his message deleted because he said crap.
Oh, jeez, really?
He's like, whoa, it must not like crap, and he put C-R-A-P. It must not like C-R-A-P. So even crap is not allowed.
Well, here's funny. Now that you mentioned that, I got to put this up on screen because someone in the guild. No, wait, let me see if I can get it up there. You're gonna see it probably backwards. I don't know if this is gonna work with the dumb green screen, but it says "Oh crap, won an AQ game." So he changed his name to "Oh crap," and it just comes up as "Oh crap, won a game." So I'm like, there you go. That's one way to get around it, I guess.
Oh crap's okay. You can say "Oh crap," but not crap.
Oh man!
Just change your name to a swear word, and then you're fine.
You'll be okay. Yep.
Throw O in front of it.
Oh man,
that's great. Yeah. Anyways, I'm having a lot of fun with this shit.
Too.
It's great. It's fun. I can't wait to see what the future of this holds. Yeah, and I'm excited, man. I'm excited. No big deal. Do you have anything?
I was just going to say, well, I think it's great
sorry.
because you have just all different players. Like I'm just looking over my stuff now. I sometimes feel bad, like when I look at my scoreboard because I'm like, man, I suck. Like everybody's doing their own thing.
Oh, yeah.
But when I look at the leaderboards, I mean, my top player has 10,700 points. Laura B. So she's going out there just killing it. And then I have some that 4,000, 3,000, 2,000 down to 1. And then I have some that are at 900, 800, 700, 600. So I like that. If you want to play at your own pace, you want to go to town, you want to keep doing all this stuff, you can. And then other players who can't play so much, it's cool. So I like that.
Yeah, it's great. Anything you would change? No big deal.
No, I mean, I just want to see stuff added to it. I think it's a good start. I also like, I like the idea of chat rooms. I think we didn't really bring that up. it would be cool if there's a place we could go where, say, I could invite, Joe's Snap Decisions or Joe's guild, and we could join together in a chat room. Maybe that one doesn't have any of those rooms. They don't have 8 cube. One an 8 cube game like that. That shit's like not in those. But like you're going to a separate chat room, kind of like any other online game where you go to different channels.
Yep.
Right. It would be cool if we could open up a channel with ours, with Gun ETs and Nerf Herder. Say like the four of us had a full guild, that we could go to a room with 120 people and chat. And it'd be cool if like you're setting up a tournament or something like that, and you could do stuff like that rather than just be limited to 30 in chat. So I'd like to see stuff like that, like expanded. You don't have to make like 500 person guilds or alliances, but being able to join up with other ones and do stuff with other alliances, I think would be really cool.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. Or even like people like Snap Decisions or like Cozy or Alex. I'm sure like people that can have even Joe, like people that can have like multiple, like hundreds of people. Mm-hmm. You can have like even Interrobang, I saw on Twitter, like has like Intero 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like he has like a bunch of them. So it's like it'd be cool if they can all go in like a chat room, like you said, and be like, all right, this is the Interrobang chat room, but they're each like all separate, alliances.
Cozy's Corner. Here's Cozy's Corner.
How about
something like that?
Someone was saying that because they have a background on here that says Cozy, and they're like, "Oh, look, Cozy got his own background on the leagues thing." I'm like, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. That's cool though. That's a good idea. We used to have guilds that would interact that way. Like if you were in Warcraft guilds, you can go, like you were saying, you could switch channels. So you go into other channels, talk to them, and then if you're going to have a combined raid, like if you're going to go and do a big raid of like 60 party members and stuff, you can do that with two guilds. So I don't think that's that far fetched. I don't know for a game like obviously Warcraft's a much bigger game, but I don't see that's too big of a thing. I could see that happening, but I like that idea.
Yeah, so like honestly, like everything about this is like overwhelmingly positive, and it's nice to actually see the community think that it's overwhelmingly positive too, because usually with every big thing that comes in this game, people get pissed off about something. And I haven't really seen any like negativity regarding like alliances yet. Really, not that I've been online too much, but like it's just been overwhelmingly positive from what I've seen. And, rightfully so. It's an awesome feature. So, I'm happy about it and just excited to see what happens. Yeah. Go moving forward. So, no big deal. You got any decks? You got any spice for the people? We should talk about maybe some decks or something.
Yeah. I mean, I got to bring up the discard deck. This
all right, here it is.
Playing. All I played last week was junk. All I've been playing since they did the changes here within the discard. I've been grinding this. Grinded. We 4-0 in Snap Judge League. We're gonna take it down this season, boys. We're gonna take it all down. Probably just play this deck the whole time, and hope it doesn't get nerfed. So we got Meek, Blade, Morbius, Swarm, Colleen Wing, Moon Knight, Strong Guy, Corvus Glaive, Dracula, Proxima Midnight, MODOK, APOC. Standard MODOK discard list. Nothing crazy here. I tried the Collector Helicarrier version. I do like that because you have multiple scalers, like you got Meek, Morbius, and Collector all can scale up in that deck. But I just find, and same with Dakin, right? You put a Dakin in there, he adds a card to your hand that also pumps the Collector. That's one more card to discard is the Muramasa Shard for another Meek discard, another Morbius discard. It all kind of works, but I find it a lot more inconsistent, and I find my Dracula getting cucked, kind of to what I was saying earlier, where the Dracula is so unbelievably powerful. It's just a massive part of the deck. He's like a 421, like 422, like he's so insane in this deck. So you really do kind of need him. Like can't be Shang-Chi, can't be Shadow King, 422 power card. Like it's just ridiculous. So I like to just lean into that. And Strong Guy is kind of like, he's kind of the middle ground where, I don't need a Dakin setup. I don't need to play the Dakin into the Blade. I don't need to play Dakin into Colleen. Like, I just play Strong Guy, and he's just basically always 9 power, which is pretty sick. So it just feels really, really consistent, really strong. Flex spots are probably Corvus Colleen type of cards, where I've seen this deck with Lady Sif over Corvus. I find the Corvus just similar to what you were saying, Kid, with Hela, where it's like, well, shit, like if I don't get MODOK, like I just play Corvus, and even if my Corvus, say I YOLO Corvus, it hits MODOK. Well, now I have like 5 energy the next turn. And I just discarded 2 cards. Like, I'm probably fine. If it hits MODOK Swarm, I'm still kind of chilling. It's only 3 less power than MODOK. So, I like the Corvus a lot. I think he's a big power play. I mean, he clutched out the last game for me too. There was a cloning Vats. It was 2 cubes. We were 2 cubes each. I had 2 cubes. He had 1 cube, and it was high stakes. And I just played like Meek, and then Corvus, moved all the Meeks over to another lane. Corvus. And in the cloning Vats, I ended up with 3 Corvus Glaives on the cloning Vats. And like, you don't need MODOK because that's my whole hand's gone. I have like 8 energy, and you can't do anything. So, but I mean, Corvus is just a really, really powerful card. I mean, discard 2 +1 energy. They play Mobius and you still get the energy. So I really like this deck. Moon Knight does some disruption too. Very reliable discard card now, which is pretty crazy that they made him that. So yeah, man. I mean, discard. I think it's all the way back, honestly.
Yeah, I played a little bit of this deck too, and I agree with you 100%. I want to find a way to fit Stature in here. I feel like Stature is just like such nice, like easily a 1/7 in this type of deck. I don't know where it would be. I don't know if you cut Strong Guy. Strong Guy did feel pretty good in this list. Maybe Colleen, like you said.
Would be Colleen. Colleen feels a little bit like a luxury card in here. You could even just pass, and it doesn't matter because if his Stature is a 1/7, you're going to make up that power pretty easily, even if you pass turn 2, which is where you play in a 2/4. So, Colleen has some nice applications. There's some cool plays with Swarm. You could do Blade Colleen on 3, hit Swarm twice. There's some cool shit you could do. Swarm always goes to the right side. So, you Colleen the Swarm goes to the right, play a Blade. There's some cool stuff, but ultimately she is a bit of a luxury card in here, I think. And, because really only card she's hitting is Swarm. You're only targeting Swarm with her, nothing else really. So I think you could take her out, put a Stature. I'll maybe try that.
Yeah, and I don't know if she's too slow too, because like if you want a MODOK on 5, like you have to play her out before 5, so you have to find a way to fit her in.
Yeah,
right.
The MODOK is awkward for sure.
Yeah, so it'd be something to just consider, and even like the Corvus too. I find like exactly like you were saying. I'll just YOLO Corvus. Like MODOK is not the biggest. You don't want to hit MODOK. It's one of the worst things you could hit, and Dracula is probably the worst thing that you can hit with Corvus, honestly. Because if you hit the MODOK, like. Yeah, you're still okay. Like it's not ideal, but you're still fine. But if you hit Dracula, like you want Dracula almost all the time. Like he's like one of the best cards in this deck. So you don't want to hit Dracula with Corvus, but yeah, YOLO Corvusing on 3 is pretty good in this deck. Like you're pretty happy with most of the stuff that it hits. You don't really care.
Yeah, and I kind of like that about this deck, where it's like maybe it has slightly lower ceiling than a collector version, but like you look on turn 3, it's like okay, like. You look at your hand, it's like, okay, well, this is a shit time to play Corvus because I have MODOK and Dracula, so I'm just not going to play Corvus. I'll play Strong Guy. Oh, I won't play Strong Guy. I'll play Moon Knight. Okay, I won't play Moon Knight. Okay, I'll play Colleen Wing. Like, so you just always have something to play. So, like, some hands are just like, you look at them like, oh my God, Swarm, Proxima, APOC, slamming Corvus, snap, and then play Corvus. Like we're getting ready, and then some hands you're like, oh, this is like actually a horrible time to play Corvus. I'll wait, and then you just wait till 5. If you don't draw MODOK by 5, then you could play like Blade Corvus, Colleen Corvus, something like that on 5. Go 3 discards, boom, 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 and then you kind of you set up that way. So you don't have to play the Corvus on 3. And Hella, you kind of do, honestly. Hella, you actually have to just play it on 3 because it's a ramp deck. You got to do it. So yeah.
But I thought this discard was worth talking about because it was a pretty cool deck, and I do think this card's back, and I think this deck is pretty good. There's a lot of good discard decks that Moon Knight has now enabled as well, like discard Surfer. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it a try. I had one, but I didn't have Strong Guy in there, so I'm gonna have to. That's what I was doing when you were talking about it earlier. I was copying it down over there, so I'm like, I got to try this one. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it
looks fun,
reliable.
It looks like a fun deck. So yeah, it's awesome. Got it.
Yeah, it's great. And we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Like now, what happens with the meta after this huge OTA shakeup? It's going to be wild out there. It was a lot of RSM before, but like now it's like, it's going to be the Wild West. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen in the future. And I want to say, hey, Joe, thanks so much again for coming on, man.
I love it.
I love having you.
I love being here, and I got to tell you, and I'll announce this here. 4 shows from now, I hit 100. So I got to have you back on.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to try to see if I can get like, I think on the system I use, I can get up to 10 guests at a time on my YouTube channel. So I think I might try to just bring a whole bunch of people who've come out, and like you guys so many times, and Lauren and other people that have supported the show. I've been talking to like Safety Blade and some others that have been on the show before. And I'm going to see if I can get everybody just to come out for like the 100th episode of the show. I think that would be cool. Thank you so much for having me. I love coming out with you guys. I've said this a million times. I love your show. I love you guys. The laughter that this show produces. Everybody just has a good time here and stuff. And obviously, yeah, man, I love being here. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Joe, anytime. You're so wholesome, man. We love you, buddy. You're great. and when we go to SnapCon, we're gonna have an impromptu podcast there, and
man.
we'll get you in on it, because that way we can that way you can be there kind of a little bit.
I am. My daughter's getting married, so that's kind of where that whole thing was going. She's getting married in a couple of months. And she's got shower things to plan and all that kind of stuff. So I couldn't make it, but next year for sure. It'll be, I'll be a year removed from the surgery and everything like that. So I won't have as many doctor's appointments and stuff to go to. But next year for sure, I am going down there. There's no doubt in my mind, because I'd already said I've met so many amazing people, yourselves and so many others that I would like to meet face to. When I was talking to Felicity, and I really never knew her at all, and she's like, "Oh, it'd be great if you could come down and meet everybody." And so that has to happen. So yeah. If we could do something from there, that'd be amazing. It would allow me to see like some of what's going on. I would love that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I would love it. But we'll be in touch, for sure. No big deal. What do you got to say to people?
Well, I mean, thanks, Joe, for coming on. I mean, you represent the spirit of Snap, man. You play the shit you want to play. You have fun, and that's what we like to do. Just play shit we like, have fun. A little bit of competition here, a little bit of fun. We have a good time playing this game. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff to do. I mean, we got alliances now. We have the Deadpool Diner. I'm really happy with where the game's going. Meta's kind of interesting. Discard wheels up. Blob RIP, Loki kind of interesting, Leech RIP. So I mean, holy shit! We've got some changes. Should be the Wild Wild West out there, and let's see where the dust settles. I'm fired up, and keep snapping in the free world.
Hell yeah! Filthy Casuals Alliance, get in. FCA, limited spots. It's gonna be awesome. Thanks again, Joe. You're the man, and peace.